Hey, I want to welcome all of our viewers to the first episode of 5-Minute Interviews. For 5-Minute Interviews this week, for this first episode, I've got Paul Kreitz. Paul is the executive director of Amor Sin Temor in Guatemala. And Paul, you're our first guest. You are our only guest today. 5-Minute Interviews.
We can only get better from here.
Yeah. Well, hey, we're all socially distant. And okay, so the question I want to ask you, Paul, is what are you preaching for Easter Sunday in our socially distant reality?
Okay, well, truthfully, we're just just like the rest of you guys. We're trying to make sense of what's going on around us.
Okay.
And I think that's a beautiful thing right now, because we're getting this great opportunity to turn off a lot of the busyness of life, disconnect, really examine who we are. This is not so much of a question about the future as a question about our identity.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
And so who are we when our jobs go away, when our health is threatened, when we are separated from our communities, and we really have this chance to restart? And I think that God can use this as a remarkable time for us for renewal, revival, just restarting, hitting that reset button spiritually, organizationally, and otherwise. And so for us, this Easter is about rebirth. And
let me ask you this. The situation in Guatemala is you're not only advised to be socially distant, but it's the law, right?
Absolutely. We are under curfew and martial law. And if I was to go outside, you can hear some motorcycle. I'm out on my patio, which that's cool.
Yeah.
Right past my patio is the gate. If I go outside on that street, you just heard some motorcycles going by. Those are cops.
Okay.
If I get caught stepping outside right now, I go off to the pokey, go to jail.
Yeah. And what's going to happen to about this time, usually there's Semana Santa events going on, right?
That started today, and it's kind of like Mardi Gras, but nationwide, it's wild. And so they have had to actually prohibit the sale or consumption of alcohol. We are not allowed to leave our neighborhoods. There's a window of time in the morning that we can get out and go to the market and these kind of things. If they catch you trying to leave town, they catch you trying to leave your neighborhood, you're in trouble.
But are they going to do the parades and the religious ceremonies?
Nope, nothing. All church activities, all parades, and I got to tell you, Semana Santa is about a half of our tourism industry right there.
Wow.
Our tourism industry is probably about 70% of our entire yearly income for the country. So they've had to shut it down.
So people are feeling this change, and you're saying the message of Easter is rebirth, revival, renewal.
Well, yeah, it's very easy for us to get into ourselves. Even our practice of going to church can become a distraction from our life with Christ, right? Mm-hmm. And so can our jobs, so can our situations, our financial situations, our home lives. In our ministry here, we're dealing with women from a battered women's shelter. We have orphans who are kicked out of their orphanage because they've gotten too old and have no place to go. We have older folks. We have disenfranchised. We have another number of people, and we're living this culture that's all about the health and wealth gospel, or other Orthodox religions is about traditions and this sort of things. Well, where is Christ really beneficial for them? And where is the church? Where does it even matter? So with those people, and I think with all of us, really, if we're honest, what we gain from Christ is this new beginning. Well, I think what we're talking about really is rebirth and renewal, which is what Easter is really about. I don't think there's any accident that we've got this huge lockdown going, this plague that we're having to shelter in place from, and all this sort of thing to keep ourselves safe. I don't think there's any accident that's happening, or I don't think it's a small thing that's happening around the time of Passover. And so right now we're pointing to the Passover.
Yeah, tell me the connection that your sermon has with Passover.
okay, people, this one particular people that through their faith in that God that was doing that, the blood on the lintel of the door and the sacrifice, everything they made, and them staying in their homes and as a family and praying and waiting it out. Those that were saved, then that was Israelite people, and they were then
And it shapes their identity, right?
Absolutely. They started over. They were no longer these slaves that were burdened and bound to these foreign masters. They were now a people chosen by God, saved by God for a special purpose.
Wow. Paul, I got every reason to believe that with that sermon, everybody in Guatemala, the church in Guatemala, they're going to lift Christ up. So, Paul Kreitz with Amor Sin Temor in Guatemala City, Guatemala. Thank you for being the first guest on 5 Minute Interviews.
Yeah, well, thank you for inviting me, and I look forward to watching much better guests in the future.
Nah, get out of here. All right, folks, be encouraged today. Come back for the next episode of 5MI.